How lovely to see you like this, Jenny. It was such a surprise bumping into your cousin Barbara last week. It was good of her to arrange this meet-up.
Hello, Pat. Barbara and I have always kept in touch and was more than happy to go along with her suggestion of a Zoom meeting with you. A little bit nervous, though. It's been such a long time since we last met.
I know it's a shock, isn't it? The last time we saw each other, we were young women, girls really, just starting off along life's path.
Yes, but somehow it doesn't seem that long ago. Time goes so quickly, especially as you grow older. I didn't know if I would recognize you, but I did as soon as I saw you.
Yes, me too. And you don't have any accent to speak of. So there you are in Canada. The last time we spoke, you were just starting college down in London.
It's true. I don't have much of an accent. They call me the English woman here. I met my husband, Tom, when we were both students. And when he went back home, we decided to continue our courtship long distance for a while. That was hard. And then we got married and I moved over here where he had taken over the family farm. How about you? Did you always stay in Manchester?
No, when I left school, my mother made me take a secretarial course.
Oh, mothers, eh?
Well, she said I would always be able to get work that way. And I suppose she was right, but it really wasn't my cup of tea. I hated being tied to an office, having to kowtow to rather stupid men who thought you were only good for making tea and would claim credit for any good idea you might have at the drop of the hat.
I know what you mean.
I moved around a lot. I followed my nose, if you like. I had lots of different jobs all over the country, for a while anyway.
You had a good time by the sounds of it. Coming to Canada was a big shock for me. The farm was huge and had been in my in-laws' family for generations. It was in the middle of nowhere, and I had to learn a lot of new skills.
Sounds exciting to me. After my little spot of wandering, I got married and we started a family straight away. My husband, Alan, he worked shifts, so life was a little unusual. Well, in that it was difficult to establish a routine. He was a hard worker, though, and a good provider.
Life on a farm is all about routine, really. You could set your watch by the changes in the weather, and each session involved making preparations for the next one, particularly the winter, which was always the most challenging.
They must have been long and hard. I always think of Canada in pictures of deep snow and pine trees and freezing cold lakes, but I'm sure there's much more to it than that.
Sometimes we were cut off for weeks. The telephone lines would go down and the kids couldn't get to school.
Oh my goodness.
I had to do a lot of home tutoring, but I enjoyed that. This was pre-internet and the schools could only provide worksheets through the post, when it could get through, that is.
You would have been okay now then, with the pandemic having effect on children and their education. But I'm not sure that I could survive not living in a city. I suppose I'm a townie at heart.
You wouldn't have liked the sound of hungry wolves and coyotes keeping you awake at night then?
Ooh, not at all.
I didn't think I would survive either. But it's amazing what you can do when you set your mind to it. So tell me more about yourself.
Well, we had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. But we lost Emma when she was 6. She would have been 40 last Valentine's Day, as it happens.
Oh, how terrible. That must have been dreadful for you.
Those were really tough times for all of us. And we decided to try a new tack and bought a business in Blackpool. A new start, if you like. The boys were of an age when they didn't need so much mothering.
That was brave. But I can see your reasoning. How did it work out?
In the end, surprisingly well. We started off in a back street with the boarding house, which offered like views of backyards and dustbins. It was very central, though, only 2 minutes from the promenade.
Oh, I used to love Blackpool.
Yes, it has its charms. But then we had no idea what we were doing. And it was disastrous at first, runny eggs and burnt bacon, and sometimes the other way round. We lived in the basement, so we were as fit as fleas. We spent the day running up and down 4 flights of stairs.
Oh, tying too, as well as tiring, I should think.
Yeah, but we managed to make some money. After our second move, we ended up with a proper hotel on the cliffs in Bisbane, away from fish and chips and bingo, and with unspoilt views looking across the Irish Sea. So by this time, we could afford to take on more staff and take things a little easier. How did your children like it on the farm?
Hard to say, really. I think they liked it well enough. Children adapt very pretty easily to their surroundings, and they did learn to deal with some of life's challenges quite early on. Having said that, when the time came, the 2 girls couldn't wait to leave and fled so far away to coastal cities to complete their education as soon as they could.
Letting them go is never easy, but you have to.
Our son Paul was, I think, born with a straw in his mouth. He's a natural and is much more at home with animals and birds and trees than he is with human beings. His wife is the perfect soulmate for him and earth mother to their children. They've taken over the farm now.
Oh, that's good to hear. Our eldest son, David, left for university in London when he was 18, and he's still there. There was friction between him and his father from quite early on. He was a bit studious and quiet, and his dad tried to get him involved in football, but realised he wasn't very interested and more or less gave up after that.
I sometimes think men expect an awful lot from their sons.
I suppose in my heart, I knew where the problem lay, but in those days, you didn't talk about such things.
Oh, I see. That must have been difficult for you. A challenge for any parent, I think. Less so nowadays, I suspect. How did it work out in the end?
He never really made up with his father. We only used to see him on odd occasions, and it was always a bit strained. Eventually, I plucked up courage and I talked to him about it. He seemed relieved, and we started to build from there.
So things improved then, at least between you and David?
Yes, fortunately. He's got a good job in television, and he's got a lovely long-term partner who is now very much part of the family. He's also close to his brother, Andrew. They are chalk and cheese, really. But that's family for you, and he gets on famously with his nephew and nieces, my grandchildren, that is.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm a sucker for a happy ending. So, what are you up to now?
I'm on my own now, but quite content. We sold the business and I retired back to Manchester. I love the city. It will always be my home. And yourself?
Well, the farm was quite successful and we were able to save quite a lot. Not that much to spend money on when you come to think about it. My son took over the farm when his dad passed away, and I decided to buy an apartment in the city close to the girls and their families.
Life must be very different for you now. Do you have a lot of friends living nearby?
Everybody thinks when you live in the country, social life must be very sparse, but nothing could be further from the truth. There is a lot going on, and once the kids got past the nappy stage, I got very involved in the local community.
I'm sure, yeah. I don't suppose we always know what it's like, life is like for other people.
We used to put on plays, and I enjoyed directing as well as performing in some of them. I also involved myself in local radio and used to do the occasional broadcast. I did a bit of writing too. I've kept up with all that stuff since I moved here.
That's wonderful. Kids and grandchildren are fine. I love seeing mine, but as they get older, they need you less and less. And you need to have some things, to do for yourself outside of family. Friends are incredibly important as well.
Absolutely. You have to have something which is yours.
Since I moved back here, I've joined a lot of organisations, drama groups. I belong to a choir, and guess what? I joined an agency and I appear as an extra in films and television and commercials. It's great fun, but unfortunately, a lot of this has been put on hold since COVID came along.
Amazing. I was going to ask how it affected you over there. I have been pretty housebound over the last months, which has been kind of frustrating. I'm no cyber wizard, but I have been so grateful for technology in a way I thought I never would.
Yeah, me too. I've taught myself to learn new skills out of necessity, really, but I'm really glad I have. I can't imagine how cut off and lonely I might have been without them.
Zoom and the like have been so important in keeping me connected. I can't imagine, and having something to look forward to on a regular basis.
Absolutely. And I've actually made quite a lot of new friends, which is, well, it's really surprised me. But I can't wait to get back to normal, meeting people in the flesh again, so to speak. But Zooming has made my life so much better than it ever would have been without it.
Oh, same here. It would be so easy to sink into depression without regular contact with the outside world. I've also been quite creative. Little stories and poems and a weekly chat on the local community radio programme all keep me going.
Do you miss the farm and the countryside?
Sometimes I think about the great open skies and the rustling of leaves in the trees. And then I look out of my window and I can see the Pacific Ocean, which, despite what you might think, looks different every day. So, swings and roundabouts, really. And I'm just grateful I'm still here.
Oh, I'm still lucky. I can get in my car, in a short time. I can be in the Peak District or the Dales, and the sea's not that far away either. And then, of course, there's the lakes. Distances here are nothing like over there, so it's easy to find a change of scenery.
Oh, the mention of those places brings back a lot of memories.
Do you have any plans for the immediate future, or do you think it's not the right time? I'm personally looking forward to the time when I can safely do some foreign travel. I really miss that. And of course, meeting up properly with friends and family.
Well, most of my travelling in recent years has been across Canada and the USA. It's about 25 years since I last set foot in the UK. Ironically, I was planning a trip when COVID hit. I still have some family over there, and it would be nice to touch base with a few old friends. I'm more determined than ever now, though. As soon as it's completely safe to travel, I'll be off like a shot. Might be quite a while yet, though.
I'm sure it will, but I hope that we will be able to meet up, if and when you come over here. That would be lovely.
Of course. I so enjoyed talking to you today, and there's such a lot we have to catch up on. I hope we can meet up again soon. I didn't go very far, so it should be easy to set up a convenient time, allowing for the time difference.
Yeah, it's been lovely chatting like this. And I would like to hear some of your writing too. I've got a few videos which I've been involved in recently, which you might like to see.
Sounds like a plan. Let's meet up same time next week. Perhaps we can both fish out some old snaps to have a look at next time.
Perfect. I'll say goodbye now and speak to you next week. Bye. Bye. Bye.